Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today, we've got a very special guest, a man with a legendary coaching resume and a bold new mission. I'm talking about Coach Bryan Stinespring, the head football coach at Roanoke College. If you follow college football, the name probably rings a bell, and for good reason. Coach Stinespring spent over 2 decades at Virginia Tech, where he helped guide the Hokies to multiple ACC championships, bowl victories, and even a trip to the BCS National Championship alongside Frank Beamer. He coached some of the greats like Michael Vick, Tyrod Taylor, Logan Thomas, and yours truly, and helped develop NFL talent year after year. He later went on to James Madison University, where he was part of the staff that won the 2016 FCS National Championship and made a return trip to the title game the following year. From FBS to FCS, he's done it all: an offensive coordinator, a top recruiter, and one of the most respected offensive line coaches in the country. And now he's doing something truly unique, leading the revival of Roanoke College football after an 82-year hiatus. That's right, the program hadn't fielded a team since 1942. Coach Stinespring took the reins in 2023, and in his very first season coaching a club team, he led the Maroons to an undefeated 4-0 record. He's not just building a team, he's building a legacy from the ground up. Coach, we're honored to have you here on the show. Welcome, and let's start from the top. What does it mean for you to lead a program with this much history and this much potential?
Well, first of all, I am deeply honored. I feel like I have arrived with all that litany of information you passed on. The mere fact that I'm on this podcast, now I feel like I've arrived in this profession right now.
Oh, my goodness.
So,
Wow.
Cal, it was great to see you. I really respect what you're doing, as you and I talked before. And this is a relationship business we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so good to see former players doing well and continue to stay in contact. And I live vicariously through you guys now, which is good. But, Cal, sometimes things in life just kind of fall into pieces. I've been blessed to be part of great programs, be around successful programs, play for conference championships, national championships, the whole 9 yards. Things happened. I ended up back in Virginia. My mother was going through dementia. I stayed around, and then I take a job. And while I was home, they started this idea of maybe they may start football in Roanoke. And growing up 45 minutes from Roanoke, recruiting this area, just so familiar with it. And obviously 25 years in Blacksburg, it's right down the street. So I was asked to be a part of a feasibility study. What would it look like to have? And the longer I was part of the feasibility, I said, yeah, this is a great idea. I always thought, many conversations, why wouldn't Roanoke have football? Why wouldn't Roanoke have football? But as you know, in any business, pieces have to fall together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the pieces aligned. I was part of the feasibility. I thought that this had a tremendous opportunity. And then the longer I was doing it, I said, no, why would I want to be the head coach? I mean, to be able to create something from the beginning, do it the way you think it should be done, from the people that I've learned it from. I've taken a little bit from everybody, but a lot from Frank Beamer. But I said, okay, this was too intriguing. This just made all the sense. And I sat here last January before this past season, and it was January the 10th. It was me and 2 other coaches. We were in a sidebar office somewhere, sitting around a table, no players, no football. And it seemed like it was going to be a long way away. But 9 months later, we packed the stadium and we had a season. And it's been the most challenging thing, but it's been the most rewarding as well.
Amazing. So, Coach, what's been the biggest challenge so far when you're building a program from the ground up, right? I'm sure recruiting is a key topic. And of course, on this show, we always talk about, some of the strategy that's involved in recruiting, how to get noticed by coaches like yourself at all levels, whether that be NCAA, NAIA, or JUCO. What are you seeing right now as the biggest challenge when you're building your new program?
Well, Cal, we could be on this thing for a while when you're starting it. I mean that. You don't know until you're in it. You make assumptions like who's got the water bottles for the away trip, right? Who's filming practice? Who's breaking down the film?
Wow.
Who's doing the laundry?
Wow.
There was no helmet. There was no football. There was So the challenge was to me, and this is a great question. The challenge is I resorted all the way back to something Coach Beamer said. In times like this, you just got to win, which the acronym
Mm.
for win is what's important now. And my first month or two here, I was a jack of all trades and a master of none. So I had to sit back and say, what's important now? Well, the first thing until I got my staff organized, what can I do? Well, while I
Mm-hmm.
was with home, again, this goes back to things fell to place. I was helping consolidate my two high schools from my hometown. Well, I had to do the uniforms in the
Mm-hmm.
consolidated school. So while nobody was here, I went in. We were going to be Nike. I had a great idea how I wanted these uniforms to look. So I got the uniforms out of the way. I got the helmets out of the way. At least they were ordered.
Yeah,
So we may not have a football team, but we're going to have some nice uniforms.
absolutely.
So you just had to prioritize. And then the next thing was to get the coordinators aligned. And then we'd follow in with the staff as we moved along. But we had to get the coordinators in line with how we wanted to do things. And from then on, then we had to go recruit.
Mm.
Because from that moment on, we were going to play 9 months later. So there was an urgency level. And I didn't feel like, again, I resorted back to Virginia Tech. We can't go to Pennsylvania right now. We can't go to Ohio. I put a dot on the board. I circled the dot. I said, we got to win 4 hours from here. Let's
Mm.
focus our efforts 4 hours from here. We have manpower issues. We have timing issues. We're behind. And obviously, Kelvin, I recruited this state for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of people that I was well acquainted with and was certainly quick to help in terms of high school coaches. That helped a great deal. Other collegiate coaches, but we had to really concentrate. Myself and the two other coaches were Virginia natives. Now,
Mm.
Mitch, my offense coordinator, had previously been at Wisconsin as a QC and then North Carolina, and he had played at Guilford in North Carolina and recruited at North Carolina. So we were able to take the Roanoke area in 1 hour, 2 hours around it, move into Northern Virginia, where both of those coaches were from and played high school ball, move into Richmond, where both of them had recruited, and get into Charlotte and Raleigh, where Mitch was a valuable guy there. He was known
Mm.
there. And we focused our attention there. And it paid off. Now we've expanded this year, but not by much, because I really feel like you got to have a footprint, and we established a really good footprint, and there's really quality ball, and so that was the next big step. And then we had to move to prepping for this season. There's no existing camp schedule. There's
Yeah.
no existing practice schedule. There's no existing where are we going to meet with the team? Where's the offensive line going to meet? So then it was moving into the season. And for all those, one of the best things, and it just kind of fell into place. I said, we're not going to be able to do this by ourselves. And,
Mm-hmm.
in your profession, in any profession, we just like to email back and forth. And then nothing, I mean, by the time the email comes back to full circle, forget it. We're on to
Mm-hmm.
something else. So we created a committee here. It was myself, the athletic director, head of marketing, head of admissions, our IT department, our dining facilities, our catering facilities, Salem Stadium where we play our home game. We would meet regularly, and
Mm.
we outlined how this thing was supposed to go. How are we going to
Mm-hmm.
market the program? Well, let's put some billboards up. What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Um, how are we going to go? What's the parking look like? What's the whole process going to look like? And
Wow.
we got so much stuff. I know the first day we went in there as a meeting, about half of us were in there going, "Why am I in here? And what are we doing?" And about the second or third time, we were all vested. We got something going. We broke it down into, again, marketing and promotions. We
Mm-hmm.
broke it down into game day experience. We broke it down into catering and dining. And we got so much done, and it was invaluable. And I'd like to think I was smart enough to think of that myself, but it just kind of came around by conversation. We just got to get together. And
Yeah.
once we did that, it just kind of took off. I had my phone in my pocket on game day. I was waiting for something,
Yeah.
right? We had 100 recruits here. We had close to 10,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
which was second highest Division III in attendance. And we're
Wow.
JV, we're a club team playing on Sunday. So I'm waiting. And it just went down. Were there glitches? Were there things we got? Yes. But
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, the thing went smoothly, and it was a combined effort. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but prioritize. You had to set and say, okay, we're going to concentrate our endeavors here. But at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, recruiting became paramount for us. You have no offensive linemen. Zero. Zero. I was next
No
up.
time in the pocket, huh,
No
coach?
time in the box. We had one quarterback. And
Wow.
so, you just, and I will be honest, there were times I got concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I said, are we going to be able to get this thing to the point where we can play? And we weren't going to play a full season. We were under no, we're all freshmen. We're all going to be 55 players, maybe 60. And to say we're going to go out there and play 10 ball games, no, unless you limited like a scrimmage. And we didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So there were times that I think people started to see what we were trying to do here. And we around March or April, we went from like 15 recruits to 40 in no time. And I'm
Wow.
like, okay, so this is going to go. And then we continued. We started to hire. We hired additional what we called part-time guys, and they became invaluable in our recruiting process as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I really think we were gone a lot. And if we'd have fell under the you can only recruit in May concept, we would have struggled. But we were out March, April, May, into June, still recruiting. So we got after pretty good. But that was the key. We had to go out there and count on a lot of help from high school coaches, and count on our message being well received, and it was. And I am so thankful for these kids that were here that came as freshmen. Now, you know this. On official visits, you want to put the uniform on. You got your dance ready. You got the ball. You've been working on the ball twist. You
It's
know,
got to go on X, coach, or formerly Twitter. A picture's got to go on Twitter if I go on an
it's
official
not even
visit.
just a picture, it's the video that goes along with it. Okay. And that's important.
It is.
And you're in this great room with the murals behind and smoke and the helmet. You got the full uni on, and you got your little whatever it is going.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and dad.
Oh yeah.
Okay. These young men came to campus on unofficial and official visits. There was no locker room. They
Mm.
put no helmet on. They had a T-shirt that said Roanoke College Football and a flag that they draped around them that said Roanoke College. There's no uniform.
Nope.
There's no jersey. There was no locker room. And they're like, and so they just believed in that what we were doing
The
here
vision. Yep.
was special.
The vision, 100%. And coach, as you kind of went through that whole process, right? It sounds the machine of college football, in a sense, it wasn't like a turnkey operation, right? Where you're joining an FBS program where all those different nuances that you mentioned are already in place, from staffing, the water bottles, like you mentioned, logistics. How are we traveling to games? How are we getting around? The uniforms. I mean, if I had to compare it to a corporate environment, right? Like, let's take a startup versus a blue chip or top 500 company. Those big companies are already going to have those standard operating procedures in place where they can bring in talent and boom, you're ready to go. But when you're doing a startup, I mean, you're changing hats, you're doing so many things that you never even thought were a part of a head coach's role and responsibility. But when you're building something from the ground up, you got to get nitty gritty. You've got to put on your hat and get dirty with it, coach.
Okay, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And just what you said in the business world, the breaking ground ceremony, you're all out there with a little gold shovel, building your house, and everybody's standing there with their sport coat on, and you break the ground, and there's 1,000 pictures being taken, and somebody makes a speech, and then the next day, hey, where is everybody?
Mm-hmm.
And you're standing there with the shovel. right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm like, okay, help, somebody, and that's because the other essence to this thing is there was nobody here that knew what it, other than myself and the two coaches. There was nobody else here that really knew what it
That
meant to
new.
have a football program.
Yes, what that machine looks like when it's fully
Yeah, exactly.
operating. Yeah, absolutely. And, coach, I think too, before we even got to recruiting, those are all the things that you guys had to get in place before you can even go out and recruit and hit the pavement and try to show that vision. Because especially when you're in a startup in the business world, you may not have your product ready. You may not have many
Right.
client testimonials or reviews. So you're selling a vision. You're selling the potential of what this product or service is. So it sounds like a little bit with Roanoke College, you didn't have the locker room. You didn't have a lot of those things in place that you could sell to those recruits, but you had to sell the vision. You had to sell Bryan Stinespring's experience and knowledge. And here's how I'm going to grow and build you into this college football player and this program. So, coach, what is that vision? What is your vision, and what are you preaching to your recruits, to those families of, we may not have all the bells and whistles or the flashing lights, but we have experience, we have grit, we have experience. What does that vision look like for you when you're speaking to these families and trying to recruit?
Well, this again, Calvin, fantastic question. Again, going back to the recruiting piece real quick, I think the biggest value I brought was, as you mentioned, I thoroughly invested myself not just in the coaching concept, but in recruiting. And I talked about relationships and trust. High school coaches, when I walked in, no matter where I was, it was Virginia Tech, VMI, JMU, Maryland, they had to believe in that if my son, my player, that he's going to be treated fairly, that he's what's being told him is accurate, and
Mm-hmm.
that went a long way when we started making our concept of who we were and what we were trying to be. We do now have a beautiful locker room. We
I can't
do
wait to see it.
now. We do have an APC center, an athletic performance center being done as we speak. Big gym. We work. That's where we worked out. But new flooring, new weights, a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
pop value. It's going
Absolutely.
to be spectacular. In this office you see me in sitting in now, I've been in it 3 weeks. The staff, we still have the boxes out there. We've moved into our new home, but we haven't unloaded all the boxes yet. I mean, but
Mm-hmm.
so things are moving very quick. We got a beautiful practice facility.
Mm.
It's really nice. It's a great layout. So these things have happened. But
It gets a
what
little
we
cold in
what we
Virginia, right, coach? It gets a little,
was
little
that?
bit cold. It gets a little cold in Virginia where you got to move the
Oh,
practice
here's a
inside.
guy from Miami, Florida. I mean, the first time we went out in November, I thought we were going to have to bribe you to come to practice. I mean, wow, men,
Coach, I had
you know,
4 layers on, gloves, socks. Oh my
it gets
goodness.
a little chilly. Like that right now, I'd like to have a little chill in the air. It's hot
That's too
everywhere. But
funny. That's too
but
funny.
what you're saying is what we told our players that you only have there's incoming guy. Our vision is to be able to do something um, that you don't get a chance to do in everyday life, to leave a
Yeah.
legacy. I tell them your goal as well as my goal is when we leave here, we've left a whistle and a jersey in a better place than when we found it.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think that resonated. How many of us can make a difference? I go into Lane Stadium all the time, but I also went into Lane Stadium as a 10-year-old.
Mm.
And I go into Lane Stadium now and I can look around and I feel great pride when I'm in there. Even though I'm
Absolutely.
not there as a coach, continuously feel great pride. I go to um, James Madison to go to games there, and I look on that stadium. I see that sign that says 2016 national champion, right? I
Mm-hmm.
go back to Lexington High School. I go back to VMI to coach, which is in Lexington. But I started my high school career at Lexington, and every day I'd go across this bridge, Maury Bridge, and it said 1988 state champions, Lexington High School. And I was on that coaching staff, and I
Yep.
saw it every day. And you just try to pass that on to you. You're going to create something that one day down the road, you're going to get off exit 140 in Salem, Virginia, and you're taking your kids and you're walking into the Kreger Athletic Center and you're
Mm-hmm.
showing them that picture of what you did.
100%.
And then after that, we keep talking about what we're trying to do here is develop young men, to build you, to give you the lessons that we think is going to be successful in life. And so our moniker here is win the outs.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we do is win the outs. And people ask, what does that mean? I said, well, there's certain things. It doesn't matter how fast you are, how tall you are, how much you bench press, that all of us can do. And it came because somebody at Maryland, the head coach, asked me, how'd y'all do that at Virginia Tech?
Mm-hmm.
And I called Bud. I said, can you believe this guy was in Michigan? He was in Florida. And he's asking me.
Yep.
And it made me think, how did we do it? And we had good
Mm-hmm.
players. Everybody's got good players, Calvin.
Yeah.
So we won the outs. I think we outworked you. I think we outcompeted you. I think
Mm-hmm.
we out-toughed you. I think
Mm-hmm.
we out-disciplined you. I
Mm-hmm.
think we out-executed you. And I think we outlasted you. So if we could just do that here, win the outs, then you're going to do the same thing in life. You're going to have to compete for a job.
Mm.
You're going to have to outwork, out-prepare somebody.
Yeah.
And so everything that we do, we talk about, well, are you winning the outs today? Are you winning
Mm.
the outs in school? And the hardest thing for an athlete, to me, is honesty. Be honest with yourself. Are you doing the things that you need to be doing to win? And I'm not just talking about the game. And that's hard. Yes, sir, I am. I do it.
Yep.
I had a great day today. Did I? Did I? And that's hard, Calvin.
To
That's
look in the mirror.
hard.
It sounds like you got to look in the mirror, right? And
That's exactly
be
right. And you got to get them to do that. Ask it every day. Did you do the thing? What do you want to be? We talk about this is 4 years we're doing here for the next 40. And are you doing the things consistently? I worked out on Monday, coach. Well, it's Thursday. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Coach, I was at tutor on Monday. Well, it's Thursday.
There you go.
Are
And
you
coach,
really,
and a
are you
lot of
really doing these things?
and you don't know what you don't know, right? So as an athlete, when you're looking in that mirror, sometimes you can massage it, you can sugarcoat it, right? Oh, I worked out Monday, but it's only been a couple. So it's important, in my opinion, and from what we've seen when we talk to our families, you got to have that kind of trusted advisor or that coach that's going to keep it real. And how many conversations did we have, coach, when I first stepped on campus where you and I had some really candid, transparent conversations
We
about
did.
certain things. And I needed you to provide that constructive criticism. I needed you to provide those insights that I am not seeing. I mean, I'm a 21-year-old kid. I've only had 21 years of experience. I'm sitting in the same room as Coach Bryan Stinespring, who has the same amount of coaching experience as I have life experience. So he's going to know some things and he's going to be able to tell me where I need to improve and where I need to get better. So I think, that speaks, volume to yourself as a coach, but also you got to be hungry as a player to find those relationships, as you mentioned, find those coaches who can give you some of that feedback and guidance when you're not doing things that maybe you think you are.
There's no doubt. And I think that's the biggest thing to me right now is just be honest about what you're doing. And you got to dive into yourself and not be afraid for somebody to tell you. One of my favorite, no, I tell everybody, my favorite basketball player is Michael Jordan. You've heard this probably for 100 years. I don't want to hear any GOAT discussion. But Roy Williams was his assistant basketball coach at North Carolina. He says,
Mm-hmm.
so, Mike, what you go? I'm going to be the best player in the world.
Mm.
I say, well, you're going to have to work hard. And Mike got bristled up. Oh, I'll work hard. I've always worked hard. And Roy Williams says, whoa, whoa, whoa. I thought you said you wanted to be the best player in the world. Then you're going to have to work harder.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say it to a guy like that, it's amazing. But here's what I've learned. I let my players know I didn't outwork people. Things came easy to me. And then it hits me in the face when I go to college. I go, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. And so I'm not saying this is, I'm not afraid to tell them. I'm honest. I'm telling you things that I wish somebody through my career, even when I'm coaching, these are things I've learned from my own experiences. But these are things I wish I knew I did better myself.
100%. Even
And I
even
think
me,
that
coach.
resonates
I'm
with
I'm in the same boat, right? And I think there's a lot of ego in our world of football as a
Yeah.
player. I was thinking about this the other day too, Coach, like a little bit about the psychology of a football player. And in defense of football players, when you go out onto the field, you can't think that you're second behind anybody. You can't think that you're inferior to the person you're lining up against, even if you are, because you're definitely going to get your butt kicked if you
Yeah.
already thought about that when you lined up in the play. So even if you are inferior, even if you are not as good as the player you're lined up across, you in your mind have to think you are, or else you're beat before the play even starts. So that is very difficult sometimes when you step off of the field to turn off when you're in the classroom, when you're in the coach's room and they're trying to criticize you and make you better, but you have this ego and you have this, bravado of, I'm the best. And no matter what anybody says, no matter who's lined up against me, I'm the best and I'm going to win this route. I'm going to win this block. I'm going to win this tackle. And that's very hard sometimes if you can't manage and control that ego when you have someone like a Bryan Stinespring trying to coach you up and make you better.
Well, I appreciate that, but that's where again the win the outs come into, because we told our team, yeah, there's going to be teams that are more expensive. We will be the youngest team in America next year at all levels. We got freshmen and sophomores. We did get some juniors to transfer in, about 5 of them. So we went from being 19 years of age to 19.3, and that's okay. And I told them the same thing last year. Some people are going to be a little older. Some are going to have more experience. That's just one step. But are they going to outwork you? Are they going to out-prepare you? Are they going to out-effort you? Are they going to out-compete you? Because if you do those things, then whatever their advantage is, it may be talent, becomes minimal. It just becomes another factor. We got to control our controllables on what we can do. And our players bought into it. I think they wore it with a lot of pride. The idea that they understood. I did not sugarcoat it. There's going to be teams that are older, more experienced. This, that, let's just do these things. Let's just do these things.
There you go. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, right? You've seen that all through your career, Coach.
It happens. I mean, the talent always shows up, right? But it may be a play. But it's a heck of a play, right? It's a dun-dun-dun moment, right? So, but just to be successful consistently over a period of time, there's elements to the game that will never change. As this game has changed, as the landscape of everything, especially recruiting, has changed, there's certain elements you can win with that has nothing to do with how many stars you got by your name.
There you go, Coach. David versus Goliath, right? Now, I want to touch back on the recruitment real quick. And you mentioned something that a lot of people don't have purview to or insights in regards to how do coaches go about recruiting, right? You mentioned that you threw up on the board, you mapped out your territory, you put a radius. Coach, people have no idea what goes on behind those doors on how you as a coach and your staff are going to recruit from a geographic standpoint, from your relationships with high school coaches. So if you're a parent watching this right now, Coach, what kind of goes on from a coaching perspective when you lay out your recruiting plan? And then how can those coaches make themselves more visible, or those players or parents make themselves more visible to you when you guys are out on the road?
Okay, so each coach in every program I've ever been at, here too, you're designated a certain area, and you got to own that area, and you better know every kid in that area, and you better go to those schools. And that could get very complicated, but the more you're in that area, you kind of know where the next year I already got a good idea. The next year, and then you come back and you got every position up on the wall, and you start plugging them in the depth chart as you see them. After you come back, as a group, as an offense, we watch the quarterbacks. We all get an agreement on the offensive line, and we rank them. And then we're going to watch it as a staff and say, okay, this guy's scholarship, this guy's not scholarship, this guy's this guy's that. He's a wait and see. He's this. And so, but so what I always advise, and what I think, and one thing I want to share with you, because I think as college coaches, we failed high school a little bit. And we haven't communicated well that okay, there's going to be some frustration, and you're going to have to be more patient now because this cycle of recruiting is extended. Because now when you have this transfer portal in conjunction with NIL and all those things working together, it now there's another recruiting cycle after spring practices.
Mm-hmm.
And so certain teams are not using all their viable spots or scholarships until after spring.
Yes.
So this patience, this National Signing Day, that's just the beginning.
Absolutely.
It's continu- and that's hard because it's just a transition. And then Calvin, you have a great story, and I want to take a second here because when you played football, was it just your senior year, or did you play some your junior?
Just senior year of high school.
Okay, so let's go back, and I want to get to the harsh reality of this too. Okay, no. Here's what I think you did well. You had grades. Your coaching staff thought the world of you as a person. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then your film was not 1,000 clips. And I think a lot of recruits make a mistake. I need 900 clips. I'm telling you, I got 900 tapes to watch. And if I'm over here watching 60 of your plays, I'm either amazed at what you're doing and can't turn it off, or I'm trying to figure out my reason why to continue to recruit you.
Mm-hmm. How long does the player have in that highlight tape to catch your attention, Coach?
I guess maybe, and this is not fair to say, it doesn't take me very long.
You got the eye. You've been doing this a long time.
You see certain things. You see the talent, ability pretty quick, and then you try to see what makes you different.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're in that tweener. Oh, this guy finishes plays. Oh, he redirects well. I can look on a film and say, this guy loves ball. A great talent that nobody talks about. Hey, Jake Grove. Were you there with Jake at all? Jake Grove, a center.
He was before me, but yeah.
We're here talking about Jake's 6'2", Jake's only 265, Jake's only this, and Coach Beamer reinforced. Y'all are forgetting something. He's a football player, and he loves the game, and he did. And so you can see that, and I think that's really important. And then I think these camps and these clinics and these camps and these camps and these camps, I think recruits have to be good. Am I getting recruited to pay the bill for am I being asked to come to the camp to help pay for the T-shirts for the camp? Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Or are they really looking at me? And I think it's where if I'm advising a recruit, what's their interest level? And if it's not really their interest level, find out if it's a multiple school, a Magna camp, where there's other schools there other than just the one school you're going to. Because we all need to be looked at different levels. All of us, I hung out to the last day that Bear Bryant was going to call me at Alabama. No chance. You know what I mean? We all have that. But then then you have to learn. I had to find my reality. And sometimes that's hard.
Yeah.
Because somebody else, for young people right now, everything's on Twitter or X, and everything's on this. And you see, I am so thankful to receive. I am so thankful to receive a scholarship. I am so thankful. I am blessed to receive. And you're over it. I just kicked his butt last Friday night. There's so much frustration, and they're probably right.
Yeah.
But I just think they got to do a really good job. They're going to find you.
Yeah.
Okay. What are they going to find? And so I'd say don't worry so much about the number of snaps you put on there. What are you trying to show that who you are? Yeah, I'm a tailback. I break 4 tackles and I outrun everybody in the end zone, and I do a reverse flip in the air over top of a defender. That'll probably get you a scholarship. Okay. But what am I doing? What's my talent? That's what you did well.
Yeah.
You see, we had the tight ends or H-back. But we didn't have a guy that we thought that could run fairly well, that could go get the ball, and that was on your tape. Your basketball ability showed up on your football tape. And so I thought if you'd have sat over here and showed us tapes of you blocking the power or running the counter, I don't know if I would have got it, right? Because you weren't ready for that.
True.
But you understood what's your strength. And I also tell recruits, find you some good special teams snaps.
Oh.
Maybe you're on the kickoff team, and maybe you weed through traffic and you get a guy on the ground. Maybe you're on the punt return team and you hold up a headhunter or you're a punt returner. That's easy, right? You kickoff return guy, you catch it, and you run down the field. Hey, who made the block? Who protected on the punt team and ran down the field, protected, and ran down the field, it can make plays in space. Because that's the value. Right? When I look at recruits, I say, okay, good linebacker, good, really good in tight quarters, limited space. However, he's on all special teams, he has special teams value, or he's position flexible. And so, like with you, Calvin, I go back to you. I thought you did a really good job of doing those things, the intangibles, being a good person, being well respected in your school. Your coaches said nothing but good things about you. I think you narrowed it down to who was genuinely interested in you. If I'm going to a camp, I want to have my high school coach call them and say, "Hey, are y'all interested in this guy? He doesn't have an open checkbook." Okay. Okay. So I'm trying to get him seen. Well, coach, we're going to have 25 other schools here. Okay, that's good. Oh, coach, yes, we are. But then you can't just follow. You got to be smart about where you're going and why.
Yeah.
And I always tell recruits, I go to the ones that got more than one level of coaching there. If I go to University of Georgia's football staff camp, they do a great job. Been there, love it, great coaches. But is it just them?
Yeah. Exposure, right? Are you getting one person's eyes or multiple?
They've already gone through who's coming to camp, and they know who they're looking at.
They know.
Okay, yeah. They know. So, and then the last thing is for you. What I saw about is what's really hard is I talked about that recruiting board, right? That's high schoolers. Behind it is the college recruiting board. Yeah. You with me? And that's become a really big board. So you got quarterback from Fort Lauderdale High School, quarterback from Salem High School, quarterback high school. And you flip back the board, it says quarterback Toledo, quarterback BYU. They're in the portal.
Who started last year or was the backup, was getting snaps.
Exactly. So you're saying, okay, am I taking an 18-year-old guy that's going to come in here as a freshman to back up? Or am I taking this dude?
Who's coming in immediately and potentially making an impact?
Immediately making an impact. Am I taking a freshman tackle? Now I'm taking the guy that's the no-brainer. You're taking him, right? Yeah, this guy's changes your program, changes your room, all those coaching vernaculars, right? Yeah, you're taking us. But after that, you're saying, okay, who can come in here and help us? And that's what you did. Because the harsh reality that I told you we'd get to, I'm not sure we would now.
Yeah. And that's 100% accurate.
Underdeveloped, didn't have much experience. We're going to have to play. And we needed somebody to be able to play to give us a little bit of a passing game threat or an additional passing game threat that could be viable in the run game and all those things. And were we going to a group of 5? Or an upper echelon FCS school that has guys started for 3 years? I know Frank Beamer would have been still big on development, develop your team, create your team, develop young people. Yep. But in those moments when we needed somebody to play right now, or be a primary backup right now, would you not look somewhere else? Yeah, you would.
You know, it makes total sense, Coach. And I mean, this is probably the biggest talk right now in regards to college football is that new NCAA house or NCAA versus house lawsuit and how that's really changed with the transfer portal, NIL. So when we look at the recruiting paradigm or the hierarchy, right? Typically, a lot of high school parents and athletes, of course, they want to go FBS Division One. But as you had mentioned, a lot of those top programs now have their pick within the transfer portal before they even maybe go to the high school level. And then if they do go to the high school level, I'm sure they're going to be looking at the 5- and 4-star recruits if they're not going to go with an already proven college player. So
Right.
for some of those other programs, let's take a Division III, let's take a NAIA, a Division II. How has this new recruiting paradigm with the transfer portal given those programs a better chance to recruit talent because maybe some of those younger players that need a little bit more development or have a lot of potential, but those bigger programs are like, we've got this previous starter from a different school ready to go. So even though you're a great player, you know, we're gonna go this route. But now you have a Division II, a Division III that's, hey, we would love you to come in here and play immediately, make an impact. We think you have a tremendous potential. Have you seen some of that, Coach? Have you seen a little bit of that new model within the recruiting?
I have. I think there's been a really good. There's a trickle down, but typically, and I'm anxious to see what this unfolds. That trickle down is also you trickle down, and but then you trickle back up, right? So
You get a little film.
I did not get that one spot. So, but I did get this one. And then a year or two later, now I am that transfer portal guy.
And that's something time will tell, right?
And
As we move forward.
that for us because there's two things that happen below the Group of Five, the Power Five, the the upper echelon FCS. It carries out, and we as coaches, we will keep you believing that you're the next man up to the bitter end, right? We're awful. We don't. We got a job to do at the end of the day. And we got to answer to a head coach.
You got to win some games, Coach.
I mean, you got to win games, or you know, they will. You will wake up one day and there will be a U-Haul in front of your house that you didn't order. So that's the reality of it. And the school still wants its money for lunch, and so you got those things that's reality, right? But so it extends our recruiting forever because we're recruiting a guy. We kind of you feel obviously they're going to overlook him. They're not going to take him, and you're pulling for a kid to get overlooked or not be taken.
No.
And in fact, there's a guy in this local area here that I coached his daddy in high school, and he was going through it. And I say, listen, I'm just going to tell you to be patient. This is hard. It's hard. And then about a week ago, he got an FBS offer. Okay, well, that's a week ago. He signed and he signed and packing his bags in the same week. You know what I mean?
Coach, I packed my bags in 2 weeks and I was in Blacksburg. Didn't own a coat or anything, man. So it happens like that, and it's happening more and more now.
That's the one piece that it delays everything down. You do get some trickle down from that part of it, but then the NLI kicks in. Well, okay, I go walk on at Virginia Tech. And yeah, I may have to pay to go to school where Division II, Division III, you're paying to go to school some type of money. So why would I, and then the NLS said, and we're going to give you $10,000 to walk on. We're going to give you this $20,000 to walk on because it's all good. It's not scholarship. And
very
that
interesting.
hurts. That hurts. That is the very reason that all of a sudden you get into the 105, 125. How many? Yes. All of them are on scholarship, or nobody's on scholarship. Nobody gets. And I think it had to happen. There's certain colleges. If you say, well, how did this school get this guy to walk on when he had this offer or this offer? Well, he walked on, but he also got a $42,500 NLI,
Yes.
which covered room, board, and tuition. And here's another five to be a good college, go have
There
fun,
you
enjoy yourself,
go.
right?
Yeah. So
And
it's
that
not
became
technically a scholarship then. It
not
doesn't
technically
count.
a
Yep.
scholarship, but you just got your school paid for.
Yes. Yes.
So I think I was going to really let the rich get richer and poor really separate too quick. So I'm glad they're doing something about that. But there are so many variables, and
Yeah.
I don't know that. I mean, I know for a fact we don't know the final what the final analysis of this whole thing looks.
Yeah.
But there's good because there's some trickle down,
Yeah.
but the extension of being able to walk on and still get NLI, I can walk on, I can do this, I still get to run through the tunnel in front of 80,000 people that I can wave
Yes.
at them, all those things. So there's so many variables. But then, like I said, what what happens is I think some people will be coming to our school or Division 3 or Division 2, and with the idea that I'm going to get some good film and I'm going to be, and they may not ever get to that Power 4 or group, but they're going to try to improve. And my advice to them is, and I was taught this in coaching, you better treat wherever you are like it's the last place you'll ever be. Because if
Yes.
you don't, you're not getting any better and you're not helping where you are. And that would be my first advice. You may have, I'm going to go do this and then I'm going to get some good film and I'm going to get a little older. You better be where you are and you better treat that like it's the last place you're going to be.
100%. You got to have a little class with it, coach, I think,
Yeah,
too. It's kind of like
so,
you're working a job and then you get a new job. Are you just going to, say I'm out, turn your computer in and leave within a 24-hour notice? Or are you going to give your 2 week? You're going to do it the right way, right? And you're going to continue to maintain those relationships that you built, because how often do you see, coach, you leave a program, that coach goes to a different program. It's a small world within that coaching community. So you burn
it
those
is.
bridges by, having a little bit of, a bad ending within a program. You always want to maintain those coaching relationships. Look at us now. We're talking, 10, 15 years later. And it's so important. And it's hard as a 19-year-old. It's so hard.
It
And that's
is.
where the parents, we got to figure it out. Just give them some of that knowledge and guidance as a 19, 20-year-old, that even though, you may be looking at other options, you may not be playing and you got a little bit of attitude on the sideline. Don't let it show. Be happy you're there. Don't be an energy vampire. Bring some type of value. If you're not playing on offense or defense, you better be on all four special teams making a play somewhere, having a great time. But don't be on the sideline causing problems. Don't be in the locker room bad talking and bringing down other players. And then that's just a disaster. And then coaches will remember that. And if someone calls you and says, Coach Stinespring, how's this kid? And how is he? You got to keep it real, coach.
You keep it real. If that's your friend that you called, they're good. I promise you, I've been told both sides of the fence. Yeah, coach, you need to take him. Coach, I'd stay away from him. So you better understand, whatever you pack in your parachute, carry it with you. So if it's an attitude, if it's, I'm good when things are good, but I'm a little bit of a problem when things are difficult, that's not going to go well. And what I was really getting to on the aforementioned conversation is just like with you, Calvin, you take a job somewhere and this is a launching point. How hard are you working every day at that job? You're looking at the ads, the help wanted, LinkedIn, you're all over the place. You're checking what's next. And while you're doing all those things, you're not taking care of being the best version of yourself where you are. And that's what that's where I think it makes sense. I think it's, to me, when I look back, I say that's where it's going to go for some guys. I watched the NCAA basketball, and I saw two guys in the NIT that I'd seen play earlier in a school, but they were playing in the NIT championship game, right? But I get that, and I think it's going to be a realistic part. But my advice is, where you are, treat it like it's the last place you're going. If this is your last job, I've approached this one. They said, well, is there a future? This is the last job I'll ever have. And every day I go to work with that thought process, that's my work habits.
Yep.
If I'm sitting there thinking, if I just get this up and running and I hopefully can win, and then I'll go do something else, then that's how I'm going to approach this day. We are all human, and the mind is a wonderful thing. And it can be your greatest blessing, but it will tell the truth.
Oh, absolutely.
It will tell the truth.
That was some incredible knowledge right there, Coach. And I hope that the audience, the families, the players who don't have that experience, who may have never worked a corporate job, if you're 19 years old and you're watching this, Coach Stinespring has over 30 years of experience, and he's telling you, right? Even though he's coached at multiple places, and the coaching life is very nomadic. Sometimes things happen, and you got to pack your bags and move, or things didn't work out the way you wanted to. But right now, today, what's this, July 1st? It's all Roanoke College. If I'm working this job, it's 100% focus here, because you're trying to self-improve, self-development, right? You're trying to get bigger, stronger, faster. You're learning the playbook. You're learning defensive schemes. You don't know that. So you have so much to work on right now just to improve yourself. And then if something occurs down the road, great, but focus where you are right now, give 110% effort, appreciation, and gratitude for the current program you're with, and give them everything you got, and let them get the ROI out of taking a chance on you and bringing you into their program. So I think that was fabulous, Coach. And then before we move on, I wanted to double touch real quick on the mega camps that you had mentioned, right? And I believe you all just had a mega camp recently.
We did.
So, Coach, could you just tell us a little bit about those camps? And I think the parents would love, like, if my child does attend these camps, what are coaches looking for, and how can they showcase their skills the best way possible if they're only getting a couple reps at those camps? Like, what's the secret sauce with camps, Coach, from what you've seen? And use your previous camp as an example. Like, when you were out there on the field looking for some talent, were there specific drills? Was it 7-on-7? Where were you looking to say, we might have one right there?
Well, I think I obviously, when it comes to the skill, do they flash this number out there in a 40? Always, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got to the point I watched the offensive lineman run, and I go 5'6", and I said, God, slow. 6. I see some sixers, right? I was probably that, right? But I said, really? I want to judge this guy on how he ran. Let me see how he ran the first 10. So if you ever see me at camp and I'm watching the big guys run, I'm not at the end watching stumbling and bumbling and looking for a water bottle at the end of it. I'm watching. I think the close, but at the end of the day, I think you want to test well. That's what I got to test well. But the really good coaches understand sometimes even Usain Bolt didn't run 9.76. Someday he threw a 9.9 out there, right? And everybody goes, what happened to him?
Yeah.
Right? So we don't always run well. Sometimes the track's not very good. Sometimes the grass, the shuttle, all this. We all have a bad day. But I do think if you can test well, and I think you got to get people to prepare for what they're getting ready to do. I can see guys that come to a camp, and we got to teach them what the shuttle looks like. So be informed about what's going to happen at that camp, what's going to be expected of me. Well, we're going to run a 40. Well, I better work on. Don't worry about the last 10. Worry about that first 10 to get out of your stance and get it going. I mean, I don't know how many times I've yelled down the field, quit raising up. Right? I mean, you're going vertical. I mean, you want to go that way, not up that way, that way. In the shuttle, you can tell kids have never done it. And so be prepared for what you get ready to do. And then after that, when it's time for one-on-ones, whether you're a receiver, defensive back, linebacker, you got to show out and show some type of skill set. I mean, at the end of the day,
got to make some plays, Coach.
You got to do something. And I may not catch the ball. The quarterback, I see guys, he gets over, the quarterback overthrows him. He goes, oh, man, lost my shot. No, I watched your route.
You won the route.
I saw you shake, dude. Yeah, I can't help. I ain't judging on the quarterback's throw.
Yeah.
I'm judging on what you did. Now I am now judging on your reaction.
Mm.
Kick the dirt, palms up.
Oh,
You know. So you just be careful. But then when it's time to compete, O line versus D line, 1-on-1 pass rush, 1-on-1. You gotta show an ability. That doesn't mean you won it. You may not win the drill, but you showed flashes of something.
yeah.
Hey man, this guy's got bend. That left tackle, oh, he got beat at the end of it. Yeah. Oh, scratch up. No. Do you see his feet? Did you see the
Yeah.
bend in his knees? Those things, it always shows out. That's what again, honesty.
Mm.
I didn't get it off. Why? Coaches didn't look at me. Did they?
No.
That may be true too. Don't get me wrong. See, what happens, the bigger the camp, coaches got an idea who they're looking at coming in.
Yeah.
We just don't show up at camp and say, who's all here? We got an idea who's coming in.
Who's coming? Mm-hmm.
But you never take your eye off of, oh, this guy just showed out. And he may not have been that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he showed out, and all of a sudden he is the guy.
Yeah.
Danny Cole, great receiver, Virginia Tech. Wasn't that guy coming in, but he was one of those guys coming out. And that's just one guy. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so
So,
I
coach,
think I think that's important that you know what you expected of you, but then know that there's going to be those one-on-one routes, the one-on-one coverages, one-on-one O line versus D line, and you got to be able to you got to show something
yeah.
that you have a skill set. And at the end of the day, but then there's always, even at the camp, I love work. I come in and I tell my guys, well, what coach you going to offer us offensive lineman? I love working with him. I mean, he was a sponge out there.
Mm.
They also had good size, but he was what is the intangible that I have when
Yeah.
I'm on the fence post that gets me over?
Absolutely. And
And you
coach,
never know what it is.
when you're at the preparation was the key thing I took away from that, right? Know what kind of drills you're going to be doing when you're at the camp. Have some idea and awareness. Like, did you practice those drills prior to coming to the camp so you can get the best time and showcase your best self to those coaches? And then the individual one-on-one drills. Now, let's take an example here, coach. You said you know the guys that are coming to those camps, right? You know who you're really looking at and who you want to evaluate. Say you're watching that guy in a one-on-one, he's a DB, and he is getting whooped by this one receiver who you had no idea about. Does that receiver now get on the board for a second?
Absolutely.
So if
I mean,
I'm a guy that
I was referred to Danny Cole. I mean, we got all these guys we're looking at, and the one guy they can't cover is this guy.
who is this?
And there's some pretty good guys covered him. Covered everybody else.
Yeah,
What's the deal here?
there you go.
Not, when the ball, and I remember it's like it's this day. I mean, every contested ball, the 50-50, he got the ball.
Yep.
So that's, and then I keep going back to this. If you go to a huge camp, why are you being asked to come there? And be smart. Hey, I wanted to go to Virginia Tech's football camp, right? I was going to, I knew I would probably, but I wanted to go. All my guys were going. I went.
Mm-hmm.
But you had to determine again why am I going to these camps, and what am I looking to get out of them? And the mega camps again, we had guys. We had Division twos, and we had FCS schools. And the only reason we didn't have the true Division One is because the date we had it and it was illegal. But people said, "Why did you let other schools come in here?" See, I've got to the point in my life, Kevin. We owe it to the kids within a 3-hour radius of here to give them an opportunity to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
So we even had 2 sessions. We had about 280 the first morning in the morning, and flipped it around in the afternoon, and had about another 120. So we had over 400. And that was about perfect in 2 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had coaches' staffs come in, and these kids got seen, and they just didn't get seen by us. And they got offers while they were there. And it may not have
Wow.
been us. And it
Yep.
may have been a partial or, this scholarship to an FCS school, and could have been a couple Division twos. And so you just everything's about options. And if you go to one school and it's one school there and it's one staff there, that's your option.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
And so and there's nothing wrong with doing that. Because sometimes somebody will call and say, hey, Calvin, wasn't Bryan Stinespring at your camp? Because, yeah, he was. He worked out with the offensive line. Let me go ask Robbie how he did.
Mm.
So that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That
Yeah.
does happen. That does happen.
Wow. It's, coaches talk. And again,
We
what is
do.
your
We
relate?
do talk.
Coaches talk. What is that relationship like? And you always got to showcase your best self, your brand. Make sure you're putting your best foot forward at every camp, every official visit, unofficial visit, any type of meeting, phone call. Your first impression lasts a long time, coach.
It does. So, okay. Again, I was not highly recruited. I was overlooked. Coaches don't know what you're talking about. I mean, all the things, right? Small school, overlooked. Coaches don't know what they're talking about. They should have seen me do this. They were right. I was wrong. At the end of the day, my strength was I was a good kid. I loved the game. I played hard. I had some team value. And I probably had a little personality. My coaches probably said, good locker room guy, good team guy, plays the game, loves the game. Okay, I got a chance to go play somewhere. I promise you, it had nothing to do with my 40-yard dash. And I promise you, it had nothing to do with my bench press. And I sit back, it's funny. When I first got to Tech and I started hearing like guys like Billy Height, Phil L. Mason, and Jim Cavanaugh start talking about recruiting. And I'm sitting there as a GA going, oh, really? Oh, that's then I went home one night and I said, oh, the people that were watching my high school film, they probably said stiff, heavy footed, can't change direction, plays hard, good kid. Right? That's what, but you got to, what you said is what gets me over the hump. And you never know what it is. I mean, so there's certain guys that walk into the room and they just, there's an it, there's a this, the way they present themselves, the way they handle themselves. There's some guys that kind of look standoffish. There's that bright-eyed guy that looks you in the face. You say, why'd you offer him and not him? Well, maybe that. And I get it. I get it. If Patrick Mahomes walked in the room and was having a bad day and headache, and I was over and giving my best spiel, and he took a nap while I was talking, he's still coming if he wants to come. Right? Let's don't be silly. Let's don't be silly. Right? Okay. I mean, let's keep this real. But if it's close, what gets me over the hump?
Yep. Coaches don't want problems. You guys
what
don't
can
want
I do?
problems. Yeah, you want the good character, the guys that are going to be going to class, the guys that are showing up on time, the guys that are going to study hall, the guys that are, going to breakfast check in the morning. And you don't have to chase them down. You don't have to keep them after practice. Coaches don't want problems. You want good character guys. You want guys that are going to go out there, compete. They're going to help you win football games, that want to develop themselves, get their education. And that is not the majority, coach, right? So what sets you apart? And like you said, if that talent is right on par with each other, that good character, that presentation is going to go far.
The special teams value,
Special teams,
whatever. From I was successful in football. Our team was successful. Well, why was our team pretty good? Well, guys like him. Okay, so he made others around him better, right? So there's so many variables, and I think sometimes as recruiters we overlook those. We become talent oriented, and if the talent and experience is not there, let's go find someone at the collegiate level that's shown that they have a talent, that has shown that they have the experience. But those variables, those win the out kind of things, I think they go. In my life, they go a long way towards winning.
Yep.
I get it. There's the guy that may not be a great presentation guy. There's a guy that may be a little bit about himself, but at the end of the day, as we alluded to before, we have to win.
Yes.
So that talent level, it's real. So I can
Mm-hmm.
sit there and say, well, that guy was a real pain in the butt when we were on our visit. Another kid,
Mm-hmm.
but he got the offer.
Yeah.
And I do everything right. It's not fair. And that's the other part we all have to realize. This is not fair. Life ain't fair. Life is not fair.
No.
It's really not. But at the end of the day, you'll get what you earn. It just does. We just got to get past the fact that it's supposed to happen today.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
it may happen down the road like it did for you and those things. But it's a difficult venture. There's advice and just people what you're doing right here. Listen to what a parent is saying. You're listening to recruits and all this, and you're offering great advice, but you're listening. And today you're out here trying to continue to search for things that you can pass on. But at the end of the day, do your job. Whatever Bill Belichick is or isn't, or as it says, his standard line is do your job.
Mm-hmm.
Do your job. Win the outs. However you do it. Be honest with yourself. Are you doing the things that you need to be doing to get to where you want to be? Really?
Yep.
And then find my advantage. What I know, be smart. Hey, I'm not the fastest guy. Hey, I'm not the strongest guy. Hey, I'm not the quick. But I do have these that other guys don't have. So be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, you in your film that you sent us, you illustrated your talent.
Mm-hmm.
You could go get a ball. You had a ball skill. You go, okay, we needed it. Well, thank
Mm-hmm.
you. And it worked out well for you at Tech and in moving forward. So, and then the last thing I'd say is it's going to, more so than ever, for two reasons. Social media, there are no secrets. So everybody knows who's getting recruited and all this. If somebody says I got offered, what do you get offered? That they don't. Nobody. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Okay, I got offered a scholarship, $2,000 a semester. But I got a scholarship. I didn't put the
Yep.
parameters on there, right?
Yeah.
So, what does that really mean? You know, but but it's got to be hard when you sit here and see the constant. Well, he's getting recruited. He's getting recruited. It's somewhere in the middle. There's the reality of it, and then there's those guys that whatever. And I don't know that it's a 5-star, but that whatever that talent is,
Yeah.
it's seen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that's going to happen. But you're forced to be patient, and this thing's going to extend longer and longer.
Mm-hmm.
And because again, the starting the guys that are competing for a quarterback in the spring don't get the job. They're not staying. The offensive tackle's not happy about the new offensive line coach. He's leaving. It's
Yep.
just constant, right? Or we find
Constant.
out in the spring we need another tight end,
There you go. The
right?
options, right? Like availability. When we say this all the time on our show, your best ability is availability. And for me too, right? I think let's keep it honest, coach. I got a little bit lucky and the timing was great for this opportunity to present itself for me. And I was available and I was ready to go. And I tell a lot of the times to our families is sometimes you just got to get a little lucky. Even if you're not getting attention right
That's
now,
correct.
people get
That's correct.
injured, people transfer, coaches get fired. There are so many moving pieces where last second, a team may be down 3 or 4 tight ends. We're like, look, we gotta figure something out. We need somebody in this position to run our package or run our offense. All right, here's a guy that, we may have not taken him a couple months ago, but camp starting in a month. Look, we got to bring somebody in, and boom, there's an opportunity that you may not have gotten just based off of your talent, but you were available. You seeked options, and you showed up.
No doubt. So let's get to the reality part. If it had to be in Virginia Tech, let's go back to Calvin Klein.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to think, oh, you went to Virginia Tech, but he probably had South Carolina. He probably had. Who was your next option?
Zippo.
Okay. Right? Okay. So it wasn't like you had this huge, okay, let me see, Virginia Tech, maybe. No. It just kind of fell into place. And sometimes you get, as colleges, we get called. We say, well, why did you take this guy when this receiver? Well, because we actually got to have a left guard. We do have another receiver. We do not have another backup guard. So unless you're going to play the spot, we probably got to go get one.
Yeah.
And we got to go. Then we got to get into the best available.
There you go.
Okay, so that's where it goes.
And that's important. That's important for the audience to hear, Coach, because they're not in those rooms. They're not having those conversations. Parents aren't having those conversations. They don't understand the detail behind how you're scheming that up, where it's like, we only have one or two healthy guards, but you as an offensive line coach for years know injuries can happen like that. And you got to bring somebody in immediately off the bench and go win that game. So if you don't have that depth, you may have a deep wide receiver room, but if you have a light offensive line room, yeah, we would love a great talent in the wide receiver room. But right now, with what we have and what we need, look, we got to go with this guard. And it's not like we don't like this wide receiver. It's just this is the priority right now.
No doubt.
Wow.
You got it.
Well, folks, you just got a masterclass here. Again, Coach Bryan Stinespring. Thank you so much again, Coach, for being so generous with your time. And before we wrap up, of course, again, a lot of our audience are parents of athletes that are looking for some tips and tricks within the recruiting process to get noticed by a Roanoke College and other programs out there. So before we sign off here, love to ask, is there anything that you would want to communicate to those parents, say they're interested in a Roanoke College, they may not be in Virginia. What are some things that they can be proactive within this recruiting process to just help give them the best chance and get noticed by Bryan Stinespring?
Well, I think at the end of the day, what are your grades? They still matter. I mean, we come out of COVID, we think nothing matters anymore, right? But we don't have the SAT, but it still matters. And in some schools more than all others, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the reality too, right? I mean, there's certain schools you go get in, you can go there, you can get a scholarship with a 2.5 core. Some schools, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. So I want to show value as a student. Okay, I want to show value as that I'm a good person. I got good character. Sometimes being involved in other sports is a good thing, and that helps. But to me, when it gets right down to it, what are your grades? What are the people in your school building tell you? And I've told everybody asks me advice about recruiting. When you go into school, who do you talk to? The janitor, the custodian, because in every school, he knows everything. And he ain't afraid to tell you. Right?
Yep.
No, Coach, no. No,
That's
not
so
that
funny.
one.
That's so funny.
But you just do the right thing.
Yeah.
But can I tell parents, listen, do your research. And what I mean by the research, get a plan. Son, who's interested? Who are you hearing from? If you got to get the coach, get him involved. Where to ask the coach? And this is hard for high school coaches. It's hard because no coach wants to be the dream crusher.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Coach, where do you think I ought to go? I think you're Division II to Division III guy, and they're going to go home, and Dad's going to call you and say, "Have you lost your mind?" No wonder we lost last week. Right? So it gets hard. But if you say, where should I be looking? I think coaches will be honest. I think you need to explore all your options. And sometimes we get crazy and say, well, coach, you got to look at yourself, or somebody like you and say, where do you see me fitting? again, they got to be honest with yourself and say, where do I stack up to everybody else? In who's interested in you and who's just going through the recruiting. They're dialing you up off of a recruiting list. They're dialing you up off of this list. And then go to their camp. Go visit as an unofficial.
Yeah.
Be present. Calvin was at camp, did a nice job, came up for the official visit. That's 2 or 3 days. Now you and I are kind of tight. And you and both sides of the street. So now, hey, what do you think about Cal? I think we ought to take him. The more I'm around him, the more I like him. Those are the things. I mean, the hardest thing for us all to understand is you just got talent is the talent is we all recruit talent. And those talented guys are going to get recruited to the talent that they are. What about the guys that they have talent or they would be recruited? What gets me into the best possible scenario that I can be in? That's what you got to concentrate on.
What's your edge?
If you think you're Randy Moss, put on Randy Moss's film. You say about Randy Moss. Okay.
Yep.
That's the thing I tell people. You just kind of get be engaged in who's recruiting. If you have to ask the head coach, where do we see this thing? Where should we be turning our attention? He's going to say, well, Roanoke College is called. They've asked about Calvin 3 times, trying to get him up. I think you got to go there. And that may not be the place you end up, but I think you need to go by and see if you like it there. I think you need to go by and see if they really like you that much as a player. But I think that I know they're viable. I know they're interested.
Yep.
And then I'm going to try to steer myself in those camps that either allow me to have multiple looks or I know that I'm being looked at. Now, when you know you're being looked at and you go to that camp, that's hard. Because, they're bringing you there because they think they just want to verify. And so you got to, at the end of the day, you got to, when you go to those camps, you got to perform. That's still a big part of it. You got to perform. You got to do something that so that this guy can be a viable guy for us on Saturdays.
Yep. You got to be active versus passive, show the want, be there, be present, make plays, go get it. Just go get it, man. Go get it. Well, Coach, thank you so much again. And, I just want to touch again on the honest piece when you're talking to coaches. So for the audience, folks, I first met Coach Bryan Stinespring 2013. We're in 2025, right? He's been honest the entire time. I think, I don't want to let that just go by. It's, I think that speaks volumes to, what you're building at Roanoke College. And I appreciate everything you did, Coach. And I'm really happy for you to be able to share our story, our message. And I hope that story and message helps inspire a lot of the families watching, and gives them some tips and strategy to try to get to that next level, because man, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful 4 years, not only for the players, but for the family, the parents. I tell about this all the time. It's not just the player that life's changed, it's the parents too, right? Your whole social calendar changes for the next 4 years. You're going to the game on Saturdays, you're doing the tailgates, it's so beautiful. And I want that for every family that I work with. And they reach back out and they're like, this is unbelievable, and it's life-changing. So thank you so much again, Coach, for joining Full Ride U. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share. I'm Coach Klein, Coach Bryan Stinespring. Thank you so much.